pop-up here says starting live stream, and it is taking. Oh shit! It's live. Oops. Sorry. Hi. Sorry about that. To anyone watching in the future, I'm still trying to figure out this new setup in a post Hangouts on Air world. If you're watching this, know that you're watching a game that was arranged through the Gauntlet, which is a community on the internet that gets together and plays cool tabletop role-playing games online. Find them at gauntlet-rpg.com. They do a lot of stuff. There's blogs, forums. There's the monthly zine codex, which includes supplements to existing games. More on that. This game is kind of a supplement to an existing game or original games in itself. They also have a big podcasting network and the Hangouts calendar through which this game was arranged. The Hangouts calendar has like close to 200 sessions a month. It's pretty good. Check it out, gauntlet-rpg.com. There'll be a link down below this YouTube video. What we're playing is, well, first off, we're starting off, the framework is Monster Hearts 2 by Avery Alder. Link down below where to get it. Her game of queer teenage monsters trying to figure out life. But we're doing a supplement to that called Once Again We Return by Patrick Knowles. That was published in Codex Glamour 2. This is a supplement for Monster Hearts 2 meant to emulate the comic book The Wicked and Divine by Kieron Gillen and Jamie McKelvey. Basically, the premise of Once Again We Return is it's simple. It is basically like, Wicked and Divine. Here, let me just read out the blurb in the codex, which I shall scroll for 2 or 3 awkward seconds. Every 90 years, 12 gods return as young people. They are loved, they are hated. In 2 years, they are all dead. It's happening now, and it's happening again. So, what players will be basically, they'll be playing those young people. People from between age of 16 to 22 who've been gifted this like enormous, like, phenomenal power among the elements, embodying gods of myths and whatnot, in the modern day, making them basically instant celebrities, divine and whatnot. And all the fun stuff that happens when you give so much power to young people. It's it kind of turns out well. Well, does it? We'll find out in 4 weeks. So it's kind of introduce our players to each other because I'll try to make sure like there's some folks that I've not played with before, there's some folks I played with before, so it's all kind of like, just get to know each other, I guess. Keep forgetting to introduce myself in these videos. My name's Leandro. Hi, I'm GM. Full disclosure, this is my first time GMing Monster Hearts 2, so have fun with that. I'm sorry for the 4 of you. Sorry about that. Let's go by kind of the order I have on my screen from the bottom up. Yes, from the bottom up, if that's all right. So, Kyle, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of your pronouns and whatnot?
Hi, I'm Kyle, he, him. That's about it.
Yeah, that's it. Huh? I think I've not played you yet, Kyle. So nice to meet you. Cool. Then up next there we've got Puckett.
Hi, I'm Puckett, he, him pronouns. I'm hanging out with my cat.
Nice. Wish I had a cat to hang out with. All I've got is some dice, and that's about it. Up next, Pro, can you introduce yourself?
Hello. I'm Pearl. I use she and her pronouns. I've slept something like 2 hours in the last 36 or so, but it is a testament to how much I enjoy playing with these folks here on your screen and people at the Gauntlet in general. But honestly, it's not even that many people at the Gauntlet that could get me to be awake right now, but I wasn't going to miss it. So here I am. I'm sorry that you're seeing a giant purple letter P instead of my face. I will change that as soon as is graceful to do so.
No worries, Pearl. Hopefully this session will be genteel enough where it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Be fine, and we'll. So last but not least, David.
Hi, yeah, I'm David. I use he, him pronouns, and not to say I'm excited about this, but when I was first getting into the Gauntlet about a year ago, Patrick's first runs of his initial like play tests of Once Again We Return were the first videos I watched, I think. So, and I've been excited about playing it since.
Yeah, so jealous seeing those playtests. I was like, ugh. Wish I got into those, but they were like 3 a.m. my time, unfortunately. All right. So before we kind of get into the game itself, let's talk about kind of like the safety tools we're using. The nice thing with like Once Again Return is that part of the setting playbook is kind of like looking at, topics or whatnot that we might want to get into, might not want to get into. But I will add a table for lines and veils near to them in a minute once I've kind of done the spiel. Basically, lines and veils are things that can. Lines, first and foremost, are things that will not show up in the fiction. Like, just not going to deal with it. So I'll make a list. I'll let you make a list there once I figure out the thing. So I'm a bit scatterbrained. I need more coffee. Veils are things that can happen in fiction, but we're not gonna they can happen in fiction, but we're not gonna concentrate on them. Like the camera will pan away, or we'll just fast forward over them, or it just happens off screen. So those are veils, and we're using the X card for the series. Basically, if you do roll into a scene or folks feel uncomfortable for any reason, and any reason is fine, they can say they want to X card that either on the screen here or on the chat. So I'm too used to the chat being there. It's there. And the dice roll room, the roll for your party, there's a button for the X card as well. I'll try to keep watch if the X card is played. If it's played, I might ask some questions of like what's being X carded, like what elements, but no one gets the question when it's played. If it's played, it's played. We'll roll back and try something else. And finally, we have an open door policy. Basically, what that means is that if folks need to step away from the table for whatever reason, whether there's an emergency or you're more tired than you thought, you need to rest, or you just need to go, you need to take a break, like drinking half your coffee before the game has even started, that sort of thing. We'll pause the game and make sure folks feel comfortable, and we'll let them like get on with what they need to do. There's a pounding on the door to my right. I'm suspicious of that. Hopefully the pounding stops. Okay, so that's kind of like safety tool spiel. Let's kind of go over to the settings playbook because I know most of y'all got rolling with like names, ideas for like gods and skins and whatnot, but that's kind of like define where we are. The broad strokes, we are definitely in the modern day, for sure. Like the subtitle of this series is "The Business of Misery," which is a Paramore quote, but we don't have to stick to the early noughties. That's just for me. But yeah, we're definitely we're definitely around the modern day era for sure. Let's go to the pick list and setting playbook tab, and I'll just read you like the city and the recurrence, which is what the the recurrence is kind of what all this Pantheon god nonsense is called in hoity-toity terms. But yeah, let's go to like the city. So our game takes place in or near a major city, real or imagined. What do we call it? Yeah. So here's kind of like, I want to just leave it out to the table. Do we want to be in like the fictional city or a real one?
I'm good with either. I mean, real might be a little bit easier for us.
I'd be down for one that is fictional but closely modeled on a city that we might all be like passingly familiar with, but wouldn't get the landmarks and layout quite right. But like we could do like something with a New York vibe. Yeah, like Gotham being sort of like Chicago, right? Or like in my mind at least. I don't know, but
that's pretty much
where
right.
there's like a cultural reference point touchstone to be like poked at, but I'm not going to be like, wait, is that an actual intersection or not, or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind. I'm happy to either go for a serial numbers filed off version of a real city, or alternatively like kind of the the film set version of a real city. Sort of I'm happy doing New York, but New York as seen through the lens of a film camera rather than checking guidebooks and that sort of thing.
So basically what you're saying is we should set it in Vancouver?
Exactly.
What about you, Kyle? What do you think?
Yeah, a fictionalized version. Yeah, what they said basically. What they all said.
I mean, if we put it in Metropolis or Gotham, I mean, Batman could conceivably show up at some point. I mean, that's not necessarily bad.
Batman belongs in a different comic book.
We can't get the rights for that. It's a different imprint.
No. Yeah, we're in a different company. We're an Image comic book. Batman can't show up. We can't afford him.
Okay, so we'd have to go for Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, the X-Men that we could afford.
I'm actually down for Vancouver. I don't know why. I like the idea of being in Canada for some reason. Like the focus of this Pantheon, this recurrence is in Vancouver, of all places. Canada.
It's not in London. It's not in New York. It's not in Mexico City. It's in Canada.
Like any city we pick, like in Canada, will just be superseded by the fact that we're in Canada. Yeah, all right. So, as a group, discuss the city and reach a consensus as to what elements drew the Pantheon to the city. So, there's like a list of all this kind of like. So, why Vancouver? Oh shit, we have to justify this choice.
Because it's used as the set for pretty much every major city, due to cost of shooting, due to labor laws, due to crew costs, due to being able to duplicate almost anything that you would need in terms of environments. I mean, you've got woods nearby, you've got a major city, you've got suburbs, you've got hip little districts. I mean,
okay,
that's why movies shoot there.
Dang it. I only will do his American accent.
Sorry, say that again?
I said I only agree to this Canada thing if David will do his American accent that I got to hear the other day in our noir game. Otherwise, I want to do it in London.
I do love David's
more
American
exciting.
accent.
Or fake London.
I'd be up for fake London.
Yeah, honestly, like as much idiotically fun as to be in Canada, no, I actually would kind of prefer.
Yeah, no, I was going to say my issue with doing it in Vancouver is I know that's not quite true. I've had some friends who went to Vancouver, said it was really nice and there's some nice places to eat. That's the entirety of my cultural touchstone for Vancouver. Sadly, it's
mine is that I lived in Seattle and like probably could have walked to Vancouver and like still didn't make it to Vancouver, and now I just feel like a jerk.
Yeah, I will say though that
sorry, Vancouver.
I'm sure Vancouver is very hurt. I will say like no one is under obligation to have to do an accent unless they really want to.
Or they're David.
Or they're David. I'm sorry. Well, you, Kyle, are you fine with going from Vancouver to London? Or
London works for me.
Do you mind if I ask where you actually are, Kyle? Because I think I have a vague idea of where everyone else is, but I've not played with you. But where are you?
I'm in Georgia.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, London probably works better for me. I mean, okay, I live in Dublin, not London, but it's close enough. Actually, don't let the Irish know I just said that.
I believe
I had a boyfriend from Cork. I'm telling on you.
Who cares about Cork?
Jesus, are you really trying to get yourself killed today?
Hey, you're watching this. That's really weird after all these years. But sorry, I just said your full name on camera. I mean, myself. Sorry.
No worries. All right. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to get myself killed. It's fine. Cork people can't get to me. Anyway, so London, I had to fight the urge to add a baby to that sentence.
We could set it
London,
in
yeah.
Manchester. I understand that Manchester has a lot to answer for.
If you're gonna add baby to London, you have to also add and then dress like Austin Powers.
We're not doing that.
That's the law.
Okay, all
So
right.
No, that's
I'm-
consider your words carefully.
I'm this close to the full hand.
Although
so
I
I shan't
gotta
give-
say, I am glad that I saw David kind of crack up a little bit at that.
He's only been one of my most frequent players since I joined the very first game, and I've managed to make him laugh like at least twice now. So I'm.
Yeah, I'm fine with Manchester as well. It's just like we just need to get to a consensus soon, so we can move on.
That was a joke.
I'm pretty sure it's London, dear.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, it's
I mean,
London.
that gives us a whole bunch of places that we could, in theory, go if we wanted to. Or you could just,
Yeah.
sit around and have curry and fries, I guess.
England's like this big. If you set something anywhere in England, you can go anywhere else in England, like really feasibly. That's what happened when I lived there. I was like, oh, I think I'll go to this book thing in Oxford. See you all tomorrow.
I'll defer to the person who actually lives in England. Is that true, David?
More or less, as
Okay.
depending on trains.
All right, fair enough. All right, so we decided London. There's a list of so what kind of drew the Pantheon to the city? Why this city? Of all cities, is why this recurrence, all these young gods coming here. So there's a list of stuff there.
What year are we setting this in? Are we setting it right
let's see.
now?
Let's go with right now. Year of our Lord 2019. Or unless anyone has any preference for other years, because it has been like a not great couple of years.
I mean, I'd like to leave like real world politics out of the game to some degree.
Totally.
So I don't really care about that end of things. In my mind, the reason it would be set in London is because London is like a fashion capital of the world and somewhere where like any entertainer doing a world tour would go through, and like if we're going to be fabulous fashion music gods, we're obviously going to go through London, if not stay there. So we might as well just, cut out the middleman. Show up.
My thing is it's a major city. I mean, what's the population of London? Ballpark? 15 million, something like that?
That sort of region, I think, yeah.
Jeez, that's more people than in the entirety of Ireland.
No, it's about basically, I think it works out as about a quarter to a third of the country live in London or the immediate area.
So there's only a few cities in the world that rival London for population and cultural impact. I mean, you've got London, you've got New York, Los Angeles, Tokyo, Mexico City, Beijing, Shanghai, maybe Moscow. I mean, there's only a handful of places. Well, Berlin. I mean, it's just one of the great cities of the world. I mean, do we really need to have more of an answer than that?
I mean, we don't, but I'm interested to see what everyone's ideas as to what brought them to here.
I mean,
But
I
if no one
definitely
hasn't,
associate London with like high fashion and like, I don't know, as someone who works as a professional entertainer, like when I think of like a city where I would expect a bunch of gods to descend, it's like New York and London are like the two, maybe Paris. But
good call. I forgot about Paris.
what about
I mean, Seoul.
I forgot about
we're not doing this in Seoul. Fuck it.
I'm not saying that we should. I'm just saying there's a handful of cities that are cultural epicenters at various times.
So we're all going to London, right?
Yep.
Not
We're
South Korea.
We've decided London. We're sticking to London for
Okay.
sure. What about yourself, Kyle? What do you think? Unless you don't have any more to add to what everyone else is saying, but Why do you think like the Pantheon came here?
London's cool. It's got cool history, museums. Yeah, it seems like a good setting. Yeah.
Also, we can play our own
Weird
cultural
topic.
imperialism if we want.
Oh yeah, that's going to happen. And the one of the other things that I ticked on the it's actually someone else ticked us before I did, but I also like the idea of the labyrinthine underworld of London, the underground, the old rivers, all that stuff.
I miss the underground in London. We should definitely take the tube as much as possible so I can relive those experiences. I lived like a block from the Piccadilly stop. Like, you'd get on, and wherever you were going, it didn't matter. But this is a Piccadilly line train to Cockfoster. And I would just be like, yay, every time, because England has the best place names.
God, their names are ridiculous. All right, so
You were expecting something different? Look at the
no,
group.
not really. No, not really. All right, so we go from that to like, okay, so the Pantheon is going to be in London, but that also means they have like a communal gathering place, where they meet up. This place of power could be like a building or a complex or a location. Could be newly built or repurposed from like an old building. Like, what do we have a name for this place? Like, as an example, in the comic book, the place that this communal gathering place, it was called Valhalla. Mainly because there was a Woden that built it. Also, that Woden is the biggest piece of shit in the universe. But that's neither here nor there.
Don't forget his racism.
Oh yeah, God, he was everything. Pearl, do you have an idea?
Am I muted to? No. Okay. I'm gonna take my little hand down. Right? No. I've got two hands. No, I'm trying unhand. I can't
Unhand
tell.
her, you application.
Exactly. I had a question, but so you all know that Luis is like running a basically concurrent thing of this game, and I signed up for both of them, not realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting, and I actually mean that more sincerely than it seems to be. But the character I created for this game, I'm thinking might actually be better for that game. But in case it's for this game, how horrible would it be of me if I wanted to embody a god who had been embodied within pop culture, not as accurately, say, as if one were going directly to the mythology from which said god were plucked and poured into the divine holiness that is Tom Hiddleston?
Somebody's thirsty.
Always, my dear.
Of course. Look, I think. Well, I'm not in Louis's game, so how you? I think.
Well, it might be for this. It was for this game until I realized I needed two different characters, and that probably if I was gonna do like one that wore a lot of black vinyl and sang songs from Cabaret, that like maybe Luis would appreciate that more than you would, my dear. But I haven't made any final calls. I just how much do people usually stick to the original mythology of the characters?
It depends. I'll use the game I was in as like an example. We had some folks who was playing like with a Japanese goddess named Inari, and I wasn't sure if they were sticking to it much or at all. Like for me, I was playing a woman that was incarnated with the god Jupiter, and I was less playing Jupiter. I was more playing, this character is like a combination of the Gallagher brothers. This is just Oasis in a person.
So it's a sentient pile of cocaine?
Oh, she was the worst. She was the absolute worst. And
did you just call Oasis sentient? Sorry.
So, yeah, no worries. That could be interesting if it's like, your Loki is more like in tune with pop culture's idea of Loki rather than like the god itself. It really depends on how much you want to play with the iconography of whatever deity you possess. I mean, at the end of the day, I doubt any of these myths would strike us down for getting them inaccurate. Because as far as myths go, they're oral traditions. They're bound to be inaccurate. So, I'm fine.
I give consent on air for any human representatives of the god Loki that I would recognize as such to strike me down as often as they would like to. Now we're solid.
Okay.
Taken care of.
All right, cool. So yeah, back to kind of like where are you all at this communal gathering place? What's so there's like some options here, but like yeah, is it like just like a building, or is it like a collection of buildings? Is it a place in London, like some sort of estate in a park, or is it a mansion? What do people have ideas? Because this is kind of like where y'all are kind of like gonna gather. You're not gonna live here, or you might.
I think we
might
took
live somewhere
over
else.
Hyde Park.
Ooh.
It's so public, though.
We're gods.
I know we might want to do some things that, like, the park wouldn't be suitable for, Puckett.
What, like human sacrifice?
I mean, that's one route.
Why not
You
do
know,
it?
every
publicly?
god has their own preferences. I just like maybe like a penthouse suite somewhere in Zone 1 would afford us some nice views and also a bit of, you know, privacy should we need it.
What about you, David? What do you think?
Yeah, no, possibly. I'm just thinking with those two ideas, maybe like a one of the big old townhouses that looks over Hyde Park would be cool. Wherever he has, I will need access to extensive basements, but you know that's my own thing.
I used to work in a pub near St. James Park that had a basement and had living quarters upstairs, but I don't think they were quite glamorous enough for the likes of us.
Well, I think we all have our own individual places as well, don't we?
Yeah, this is just where you all kind of get together.
So this is kind of like the
Um,
clubhouse, and then like things from the Tales from the Loop, things from the Flood, etc.
Yeah, this is where like your ancient one kind of calls you all for like, hey, we're kind of family. Let's have dinner. The ancient one is the one who gave you the godlike power. We'll get to them in a minute. What about you, Kyle? Do you have like a preference?
I don't really know London, so I'm fine with any of those options. Though I did actually have a question about my character. I see David is thinking about playing Hades. I was thinking about playing Persephone, but I'm not sure if that's
Ooh,
stepping on toes or if that would get us too dark.
I vote yes. I know nobody's asking me, but I would just like to offer that opinion.
Thumbs up from me.
Yeah,
I think that'd be fun.
definitely if you're happy with that. I mean, yeah, it'd probably get weird, but you know that's kind of part of the whole thing. So no, that would be cool.
Okay, cool.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So I like the idea of like a kind of palatial-looking townhouse at Hyde Park. I do like being near a public space, kind of. But penthouse works as well. Like you can take over the Shard or something like that. It's up to y'all.
Wait a
Like,
second.
oh, gone. What's up, Pearl?
David is Hades?
Yes.
I had that mixed up and thought it was Puckett. This is even more exciting than I thought. David, did you consent?
Yes, he
This is why I'm allowing people to see my face at this time of day with no sleep. It's for this game right here.
God. All right. So okay. I need someone to make like a decision. Do you want to be in the? I do like Hyde Park. I don't know, but yeah, I do get taking over public space. Ooh, yeah. Do you like being in a big, tall, ugly building like the Shard? I won't call it ugly, but it just stands out. It's perfectly named for what it is. That's not to say you can't perform at Hyde Park. Like, probably like just do like some unofficial gigs there or whatever. What will
My
the
character
authorities?
can perform absolutely anywhere.
Or have
not
Woodstock there or
concerned.
something equivalent to it.
Yeah, big old party. Yeah. So let's say just
Jesus,
pick one. Let's say it's
David.
visible.
I take it you don't like the Shard?
It's not the worst of the big modern skyscrapers there. That one that looks like an old Nokia is probably wins the award for that. But yeah, it's the Shard's okay. The Shard's not the worst. Like I said, it's
So be honest. How many people call it the Shard?
For Pete's sake, Puckett. Sorry, you're still Edward in my mind. I can't. Yeah.
I am glad that I inhabited a character so completely that it's stuck in your head now.
All I know how to do is like exasperatedly say your name and hope for the best at this point.
Good luck with that.
How Leandro feels about me.
I'll keep mum. Anyway, just like more random things. You can probably leave them for later. Like, again, I think we do want to focus on what's happening in the now. Like, yeah, there was a recurrence before. Like 90 years ago was the last time, gods showed up. So, around 1920s. Yeah, around 1920s-ish, I think. Am I doing my maths right? I even said it the British way, maths. Yeah, around 1920s, but we can deal with that later. Yeah, so let's kind of go to. So there's a list of like topics. I've added like also lines and veils. If folks have any they want to add, they're also in the pick list and setting playbook. So there are things they want to add that like you don't have to like deal with for sure. Oh shit, wrong thing to do. Add those, but there is like a list of topics or whatnot of what do folks want to see with this kind of story, because it is about like it is a story about celebrity to a big extent. It's less about the art that people make and more about the image, the creators, the people who just look up to, these like brilliant, dazzling figures, and people they want to be or they want, that sort of thing. There is like the 4 topics there. They're kind of like kind of default-ish in monster art, but obviously we can like adjust as applicable. But like, is there anything from like those the list of stuff that people want to see, and they can check those? But if there's things that people don't want to see from the list of stuff in the pick list and setting playbook, they feel free to like strike that out. There's a button for strike true in the top of the sheets. Just have a look at those and like see what interests them and what interests you and what you don't want to see.
Mobile with a predictable / unpredictable path. Is that meaning like we could have like a van down by the river sort of thing? Like what would this mobile meeting place look like? Or am I reading that wrong?
That's the communal place. We've decided it's in the Shard, unless you want to move to like, I don't know, some sort of moving train, but that's a bit Harry Potter for my taste. And you were already in the Harry Potter.
Yes. Were you supposed to be in that?
No, I just noticed a lot of things.
Oh, somebody like referenced it. Referenced you being in it. To me, it was weird. I was confused.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to know what that meant. I was confused.
I think it just means like a communal moving. It's a communal place, moves around.
I checked off ancient history and wonders as something I'd like to see, but then I realized I don't really like. That's a really broad statement.
Yeah,
like I'm not looking to go like hang out with Odysseus necessarily.
Yeah, that's also not the list I was referencing. That's just like that's what drew pantheons to the city list.
The settings playbook.
Yeah, if you go to setting playbook, the right column.
Oh, bother. Sorry about that. Okay.
No worries. Yeah. Also, a big thing about this is like, you've all got this power, but you only have it for 2 years, and then you die.
So we're on the settings playbook where we're looking at the paint the scene, coming of age themes, etc. now.
Yeah, we're looking at the coming of age stuff. We'll leave the paint the scene later until when we actually like have characters.
So all of these that we could check off are things we'd be like interested in seeing rather than we're lining them if we check them off, right?
Yeah, if you check
We
them
would
off, that
strike
means
them through.
yeah, if you check them off, that means that you're interested in seeing that sort of theme in this story. If you strike through them, that means you're not interested and you don't. And
Okay.
yeah,
I have a
we can
question
only
then.
we can only check one.
let's see. Yeah, one or two. Let's say.
Because I'm looking, for example, at like toxic fandom, and it's like that goes right in with toxic and violent relationships. And if you're exploring / discovering gender, then sexualism, wrong attraction, sexual shame would seem to go hand in hand with that, which is, so there's a couple of things where it seems like there's two things on there that are almost one thing, if that makes sense.
I can see like ways you can differentiate that. Like toxic violent relationships kind of means like, relationships with your siblings or friends or whatnot. Toxic fandom is about, fans,
Fortnite?
talking shit about you, on the internet, like, or people holding you up to like a higher standard and or spreading malicious rumors. It's I can see a way at least those two will at least be differentiated. But there is some overlap between some of those themes. I think it's just like what we're checking is like what the focus would be. All right. So far we've got impending mortality. That's always fun. 2 years. Oh, that 2 years. I'm holding up 4 fingers. That's not right. Impending mortality. The good we leave behind. Oh God. That's terrible. Genuine intimacy. I'm always down for some actual romance. Like I'm down for a Monster Hearts game where it's not all about people trying to backstab each other. Sometimes the sweet romance is nice. And you're muted, Pearl, if you're saying something.
I wrote in this too because it seemed like all of the things having to do with sexuality were things having to do with like toxic versions of sexuality. And like, I think it might be nice to just explore sexuality in general without it having to be like a toxic relationship or shaming or, you know what I mean?
No, that's perfectly fine.
So, but if any, feel free to strike them through if anyone wants to. But the two that just got written in right next to each other about sexuality and intimacy, romantic and otherwise, were my write-ins.
Totally down. Kyle, do you mind if I ask if you've checked which ones have you checked?
Me or all of us?
Kyle. Sorry, I'm pointing calling out Kyle. Sorry.
Yeah, I checked mental illness, depression. I mean, Persephone spends half the year in the underworld. It seems like a metaphor for bipolar stuff. We don't have to do that. I don't know. I thought it might be interesting.
I think it fits.
My only request there is that we try to make sure to portray it accurately.
Absolutely.
There are like multiple types of bipolar disorder, and it kind of gets used in the media for anyone who's moody and dramatic. A lot of times, like if someone has wild mood swings, like, oh, they must be bipolar. And I try to fight that stigma.
Very fair.
I assume
yeah.
you do too. But just,
Thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to exploring interesting topics.
Cool. How about you, David? Which ones were you interested in looking at?
Still not got used to the mute button being in a different place. The ones I think I ticked were impending mortality. I ticked that one because it's something that's going to come up, and I think that's something I'm particularly interested in looking at. I also ticked the toxic fandom one because I think it's quite a I think it's both mechanized quite well in what Patrick's written for this game, and it's a very big part of like in the comics as well. So I think that's definitely a theme I'd like to see us sort of touch on maybe. And someone else wrote in cultural appropriation, and I ticked it. So just to mix things up a little.
I mean, one of the things that I appreciate about the comic is that it straight up points out, like in Hazel's case, you're a white girl from London and you're basically the incarnation of a Japanese sun god. And that's a little problematic. So.
Yeah, definitely. That is something, the comic has touched on. We can definitely touch on that when we can. What about you, Pocket? Which ones did you check?
So I ticked The Evil We Leave in Our Wake, Gender Inequality and Sexism, and Sexualism, Wrong Attraction, Sexual Shame, which seems like it kind of dovetails with exploration of sexuality in general. Because the way that I see my character is, how to put this? Kind of like a pansexual predator. Like seeking, like, obviously with consent, but very much that kind of, you're hot, let's fuck type thing. Almost
That's
like
all of your characters, silly.
Hey, when has my character ever been, let's fuck? Like, you're hot, let's fuck. I mean, it's been, I've played a lot of things. I don't think I've actually played that one before.
Yeah, no, I don't recall that ever happening. At least
Like, even my ferret wasn't,
games.
you're hot, let's fuck. My ferret was, you two are in love, I'm going to kill your family so that you can actually stay that way.
That's fair. That's fair. Retracted. I was isn't Persephone like generally, I think of her as being like a personification of like the maiden. Like which you can play her not the way that I'm picturing her, but am I thinking of that wrong? Like, is that being sort of part of her iconography?
I mean, she's a goddess of spring and winter, and I mean, it's. I'm not really sure.
Demeter's daughter, right? Who is like eventually.
No, Demeter
tricked
is Persephone is Demeter's daughter, who was
tricked into
kidnapped.
staying.
Yeah. Went off to
Pomegranate
marry
seeds,
Hades in a maybe not consensual way, depending on your. I mean, we can change that if we're not comfortable with that.
Oh, I'm fine with it. I guess in my mind, Persephone is like this personification of sort of this maiden who was taken at like this young age and whatnot. But this is more my own wanting just to understand the motivations behind all the characters that you all will be playing and how they connect to the original myths. It's not a criticism, it's just a question. So Puckett.
Mm-hmm.
Do I just have that wrong, like in my remembering about sort of her general vibe?
The whole Persephone is kind of like a maiden thing. That's more like modern stuff. Like my remembering the myths is that, things is maybe there's a bit of blurred lines, so to speak, of how she came down to the underworld, but
kidnapped,
more or less. I mean, you can look at it as like a kind of addiction almost because of the consumption of the pomegranate seeds. So like, hey, basically, I've got you hooked on this thing now. You got to come with me. But striking that balance.
The only reason she even gets to leave is that like Demeter, who needed to be like helping with the weather and whatnot, so food would grow, like never stopped mourning until finally they said that for each seed that she ate, she could stay a month. So she's there half the year and not the rest of the year. But otherwise, like Persephone was kidnapped and then kept as an ongoing.
Yeah, well, how much we were playing on this? That's up to like Kyle and whatnot.
That's
why I'm asking.
In theory, that could just be kind of like past trauma that the character's trying to get past.
again, that we'll get to that when we get to like the characters and whatnot. Which I think we're pretty much there anyway. I think there's a good list of like stuff what people want to look into.
Do we need to do the recurrence section of the setting playbook?
I'll save. I mentioned at the start. I'll save that for kind of after, unless because it colors in the setting a bit for sure. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's do that now. I was gonna do that after characters, but since we're still here, we might as well.
The other thing that I just wanted to like call out on there, I'm neither ticking nor striking through like racial inequality. It's so I'm intending to play a black character. It's something I guess I might refer to it in a general sense, but probably I don't feel that I am the right person to do a big dive on what does racism really mean. So I don't necessarily want to go into a big in-depth thing on it, but I just thought I'd kind of point that out as something I may touch on. But yeah, probably it probably isn't the right place for a big sort of deep dive.
I would
Totally
say yeah,
respected.
Yeah. So yeah, that's nice to note that down. This is all being recorded. So yeah, let's do quickly this recurrence thing. So yeah, 90 years between each recurrence. This is the modern one, so everyone knows. Oh shit, this is true. The God stuff, it's all true. But
we've got video this time.
Yeah, just video, the social media, all that fun stuff. But before that, like, what was the recurrence to people? And there's a list of like options here in the settings playbook.
I kind of like the conspiracy theory cult thing if people don't mind it being close to the comic in that respect.
I'm happy to stick close to the comic, definitely. I've not read all of it yet, but yeah, I again like that idea of it being a bit like this is the first time it's been like really widely spread and known, rather than just being a sort of
thing that happened in that geographic area where there was like an explosion of something, whether it's scientific research or literature or whatnot.
I have one concern with that one, which is that just a really obnoxious amount of the time, conspiracy theory stuff ends up
and racism
veering towards.
Leaning towards what?
Anti-Semitism is what I was going to say. Like a lot of anti-Semitism is rooted in conspiracy theories. It's sort of a different kind of bigotry than a lot. Like it works differently than a lot of other ones. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I understand exactly the moment that you're probably referring to that I was there with you for. Well, and just not just that moment. It just happens a lot, and people often don't even know that they're playing into anti-Semitic tropes because a lot of them use a lot of dog whistles and things, but like don't say like Jewish. And so if you have like overheard them but aren't actually anti-Semitic, you might not even know that you are speaking in ways that could lead to some anti-Semitic. So I would ask that like we maybe occasionally do check-ins if we're going to do conspiracy theory stuff, and I could just like.
Could we just simplify it to say a cult and do it that way?
That would
maybe a cult centered around an urban legend. Like almost something that's passed down generationally, like their grandparents were present for it, and now there's these people who have seen the recurrence come about to pass, and they think of themselves almost like some sort of a priesthood type thing.
That sounds totally fine to me.
Yeah, it plays to like the toxic fandom thing that was checked there. Like there's just like a group of people who kind of like who thought the recurrence was one thing, and then once it's come to pass, maybe it's not like what they were brought up to be. Maybe it was something else. 90 years is a long time. History can be distorted so much in 90 years.
It sounds like you're almost talking about gatekeeping.
God, those people. Yeah, I think if everyone else is fine with that, cool with that. And so yeah, but now that it's here, how do people see the recurrence? And I think we're definitely down with the whole. This is like a bit of a smash, a bit of a. You all are successful in terms of like gaining attention and gaining fans and whatnot. But there's like, yeah, a list of all this stuff here. So what is
Do
the
we
recurrence
each
like?
pick one, or do we just try to agree on one or two? Or
I think we'll stick like one or two. That doesn't mean like that's all it's going to be, but that's kind of like default. That's kind of like what's on the fore of it, if that makes sense.
I kind of like the whole morally irresponsible, spiritually dangerous thing. I mean, we are gods. We are screwing with what everyone thought they knew about theology. So, I mean, I don't see any way around taking flack from more broadly accepted contemporary religions in that respect. And I mean, in the comic, part of the point is that, you know, these gods are, the Pantheon is supposed to inspire the world for until the next Pantheon rolls around. So changing the way people see the world is, I mean, that's almost a given. I don't even know if we need to even check that off.
Well,
we checked it off because that's what we want to focus. But yeah, it sounds good. I like the.
It checks off the geyser of artistic inspiration as well.
Cool.
Says the geyser of artistic inspiration.
I mean, only to some people. It's nice.
Cool.
Now, do you want this to be kind of like just a pop thing? Or, and forgive me for digging back into history a little bit here, do we kind of also want it to be almost like a Buckaroo Banzai type thing, where there's the pop culture influence and the musical influence, but there's also scientific research that's going on, etc.?
I mean, if anyone wants to focus on that, on the academic side of like why these gods are here, that's, I mean, I'm up for whatever. But if there are folks interested in that, and if you want to flag that, that's perfectly fine with me.
When you say scientists, fuck it, do you mean that like one of them has figured out what's going on and is gonna like try to get a godly blood sample, or like?
I was talking about our characters also advancing scientific knowledge through perhaps unorthodox experiments or whatnot. Like, you know, the playbook that I really want to play, having looked at it, is Prometheus. And I'm thinking about this Prometheus as being sort of like a really unorthodox feminist thinker who may also be doing research into biology as well as putting on concerts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
I like
that's the thing you want to flag.
You know, like, and being like, you know, like I mentioned earlier, like a pansexual predator, like, oh yeah, there's this experiment going on, but you're hot in that lab coat.
I mean, people who are competent at important things are very attractive. So I don't think anybody could blame you with the scientist.
Yeah. Like, you find yourself a good theoretical physicist who really knows the stuff they're doing.
Ugh.
Like,
No, I was engaged to a physics guy. Don't do it.
Oof.
Bad news.
Physics.
But yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. If that's the thing you want to flag, that's perfectly fine. That sounds interesting. All right. So I think we are finally done.
Oh, parascientific research. Maybe it's like, I think my character might be trying to MK Ultra people.
Try to what for people?
The CIA's experiment into LSD and mind control.
Oh, I thought you said trying to end kale for people, and I was like, that is a cause I can get behind. Like, no more kale, no more essential oils. Like, back to
that too. I did not even. Yes, that as well. Kale doesn't cure things.
Okay. All right. So I think, yeah, we've got the setting stuff pretty much done. Once your characters are kind of done, but Here's something I like to do at the when we reach an hour. Let's take a break because I got like thinking about settings
Has
and
it
whatnot.
seriously been an hour?
It has been an hour. And
It's our fault, Pocket. We have to stop talking.
Did you know you can see stats of how long folks have been talking in this Jitsi application? If you go to
It's not
speakers,
entirely accurate, though.
well, because it says I've been speaking.
I was talking to someone the other day for like 3 hours, and it had one of us at 2 minutes of talking and the other person as the whole time. And I think it was because one of us had a fan on.
And where do we see these stats?
It registers like any sound.
Anyway, yeah, we have been here for an hour. So let's take a break. Let's say 5 minutes, and then we'll get into characters. Like, finish building these characters. And some of y'all are nearly done. And some of y'all are done. But let's take 5 and just like let all these ideas percolate. And then we'll do characters and backstories and whatnot. So, BRB, 5 minutes. Oh shit, I need to get the video up.
Hello, YouTube.
You're still here?
Why does this thing keep muting? Quite rude. Stop that right now.
You insist?
Are you doing? I will fly through internet.
It's going to take a little bit to get used to this, I think.
I can't get it to stop muting me after. Make it stop.
Oh, it's muting me automatically too now. That's rude. Seriously, Jitsi? You were going to have some words after this, I think. Oh, hell, you
Not
did
gonna
not.
lie. No, I didn't.
No, not you, bro.
Being-
Jitsi's muting me. It keeps saying, trying to speak. You're muted. And it's like, well,
Exactly.
you are, Jitsi, you are muting me, and I
Where's
do not
the
like
YouTube?
it.
That's like a triggering thing for me. I really hate being silenced, or ignored, and even by a machine. Like being cut off mid-sentence by being muted is very upsetting. Why does it do that?
Maybe it's just because there's the room owner set a video to play, and maybe that's what's doing it.
I will destroy the video. We're going to take on God personas, right? My God persona's whole plan will be to destroy this video for muting me.
That's not actually a very bad plan. I could totally get behind that, having it just been muted again.
See? This is what I'm talking about. Completely unacceptable.
Jitsi
I
needs
am
to
a strong and independent woman, and I will not be silenced. Not by this website, and not by the patriarchy. So
I'm
you're
just waiting to
muted,
see how
Kyle.
long it takes. It automatically mutes you right now.
Yeah.
After a time threshold, don't know what.
Take that, video. We win. You know what the score
Yeehaw.
is? God's 1, video 0.
Oh, that was me who took that down. So
Well, you're a god, right? So we still
I mean,
win.
you are
no,
technically.
I'm the ancient one.
Okay. Well, still,
That's
Yeah,
God.
you are of the Pantheon. You'll be
Yeah.
feared. You'll be hated. You'll be loved. In 2 years, you'll be dead.
oh, No. I'm the one who tells you that.
Um,
No, I'm not gonna die. That's all y'all's business. I just gave you the
Are,
power.
are you? I mean, pardon me. I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. Are you saying that you and I are going to live forever?
Maybe. I don't really want to know.
Listen, I'm just going to
Okay.
warn you. This is going to be a goofy one.
You know
I'm
what?
never. I don't know what you're talking about at all.
You're also terribly straight laced. Yeah, I know from experience. I'm sorry, Kyle, that no, I'm not sorry. But I
Oh no!
hope
Oh, don't even. If Kyle is going to play this like he's played other games that I've been in with him, it's going to get real loopy real quick.
okay.
And look at that grin.
Can't wait. You're muted. It's probably that video did it.
Okay.
No expectations there. Yeah, that video that's usually there because if folks don't talk for more than 5 minutes on Jitsi, it just turns off the live thing. But I forgot that some folks here like to talk to each other during the breaks. So I'll make sure to not put in
I
that
mean, we
video.
waited like 20 seconds.
It kept
So,
automatically muting us. It's
like,
kind of
yeah,
weird.
that's what.
like two words at a time. I shouldn't do that in case we have any British viewers. I learned that when I was attending a pub in London, that you don't say two the same with your fingers the same way you do in America, unless you want to say something very different. And then have all the regulars in the pub tease you for weeks afterwards. So is David not back? Oh, there you are, right? Sort of.
Yes, sorry, I am. I just hadn't turned my camera back on.
Cool.
Hi, David.
Still not used to the new buttons.
Missed you.
Yeah. All right. So let's come to characters. I think some folks are kind of. I'll give you all like maybe like 5 minutes to like just finalize some stuff. I know some folks are done, but some folks aren't. So unless people have any questions they want to bring up, I see you making a face there, Pearl. Do you have a?
Who wants to come up with a new god for me so I can use this character in the other game where it would be more like appropriate? I think. I
can't.
know a ton of folklore and mythology, and I'm
Mhm.
drawing like a complete blank because I know everyone's waiting on me, and that makes me like freeze. But
I suggest you go through looking through the skins again. Like what skin or what playbook, I guess, or what skin will interest you? And
I
then
have giant lists from every time I've ever played this game and had to do this. Or not this game, but Monster Hearts. Monster Hearts 2. I was gonna pair Loki with the Cuckoo because that made sense to me for a trickster.
So why are you questioning that?
Because I think I want to do that in Luis's one where we're gonna like
The musical?
yeah.
Yeah.
See, I already know what I want to do in Luis's one. I've even talked to him about it.
You're in Luis's too?
Yeah,
Yes,
the
I
two of you
am.
are.
Bananas. Okay. Anyway, so I would just I didn't just someone pick a what
I don't.
you
I
can
don't
pick
pick
a
for
bad
you.
one. I
What
don't
if?
even mind.
What if we pick something that's you're not gonna enjoy? Okay. What skins have you
Hang on.
played in Monster Hearts? So at least we can
I've
knock those off.
been the vampire, the serpentine. I was the bedlam, but not for very long, which was sad. I was about to get dragged upstairs to a bedroom at a college party, and then the series got canceled. It was really disappointing.
Aw.
Valid reasons, but still.
Mhm. It happens. Do you want to give that
yeah.
a shot again?
I don't think any of
Okay, so you don't want to play Loki, correct?
yeah, I think I like the idea of Loki and the Cuckoo, and specifically of like this sort of glamorous BDSM-y thing doing songs from Cabaret.
But you want to do that in the other one.
Yeah, Luis is
about
gonna have like a
playing,
performance in his, I think, and I was like, I can ham up a Cabaret performance. So what do you think?
what about Diana?
Hearth and Hunt? Am I remembering correctly?
That's my recollection.
Hunt, the moon, all that jazz. No, that's a different. That's cabaret again.
That's technically Chicago, but that is on my
Oh,
list
fuck!
of musicals to
I'm
perform
mixing
as
up my.
Loki, so it works out okay.
I'm
They're
mixing
both
up my.
musicals.
Damn it!
I mean,
I'm not as musically
you
minded
kinda
as
just,
I would like.
you kind of just outed yourself in terms of your musical credibility, but
Yeah, that's fine.
at least in
I don't
terms of
care.
musicals, not in terms of
Yeah.
music in general. But
No, yeah, that's fine.
Wild Animals, The Hunt, associated with Artemis.
The moon. Oh yeah, Artemis.
It's actually Sky and Daylight, according to this.
Hmm.
Is she both the moon and daylight? Because if so, she's just got a monopoly. Like all celestial light of main sources, which I guess comes in handy. But all right, I'll figure something out. I think I'm going to save. I need to be able to do cabaret performances, obviously, if I'm going to do them somewhere. And I don't think we're doing performances in this version, are we?
Not whatever Louise has, because he does have like this musical module thing.
It is
that makes sense.
specifically, once again, we return the musical.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. So, because remember he tested out the regular Monster Arts game where you basically like your characters break into song, that sort of thing. Here, no, we're not doing that. It is just straight
So,
up.
yeah.
it's gonna
I'm
return.
going to have a character built around who like makes sense to do off-color musicals. I'll save it for the musicals one, but I'll figure something out. Let's not wait on me. Everybody else do character things, and I'll figure something out really quickly. No,
I
That
kind
could
of
come from
think that everybody has done everything.
Yeah,
Look.
I think everyone else is pretty much done.
you haven't all introduced yourself and like done all the spiely bits.
All right, okay, yeah, we'll give you time. Let's introduce everyone else. Can I get to the concept? Ask some questions about their pre-godhood and what godhood's like, all that fun stuff. Yeah, let's do that. Give some time. Maybe get some ideas from like what other people are doing. Let's go by the order of the character keeper. So David, tell us about our worm and their god.
Yes, certainly. So I am choosing the Worm playbook, which is from Second Skins. I've got the PDF open, but I think it's Second Skins. And this is your sort of dragon hoarder type. And the god I am portraying with the worm is Hades, Greek god of the underworld. And I'll get onto this in a specific moment. In fact, I will. I'll come back to that in a second. His persona before he became a god, he was, or is a young man called Sebastian Diallo. He's a Londoner. His mum was from Senegal, but he was born and brought up in London. He was a student at the London School of Economics, studying international relations and development. But he was on the side. He was quite skilled. He played clarinet, saxophone, and he used to busk in tube stations when he was empowered with the power of Hades. The purviews that I've chosen for Hades are death and wealth. So this kind of comes back to the fact that that's sort of obviously Hades was the lord of the underworld, and guardian of the dead, was his big shtick. But one of the other sort of aspects of him was that he had control over the earth, as in the ground in general, and all the wealth that belonged to it. So he also had this sort of aspect of it's in fact where the term plutocrat comes from, is Pluto, the Latin name for Hades. So yeah, I wanted to kind of inspect that kind of dual facet of his of Hades, Hades' personality. So the look of, as I said, he's a young black man. He's said of African descent. The fashion sense I've gone for is Velvet Underworld, because it has underworld in the name for a start, and I love Velvet Underground, so it's two strong marks in its favor. Not quite what the outfit I've got in a little picture. I've got him in under Coachkeeper here, but I see him in a lot of like nicely, very well tailored, hand tailored suits, but in sort of like jewel tones, quite colorful. Probably never seen in the same suit twice. That sort of thing. Though I can also see him wearing the little getup he's got there, the sort of black beret and the black leather jacket as well. For eyes, I've gone for oubliette eyes. He's got those sort of eyes that seem to trap you in them as he is speaking to you. And his incarnation is that it's his truest self unleashed. The performer side of him was always the bit of him that he really wanted to be. That's he was kind of doing the respectable, get an education thing, but the performance is what he's always really been about, and this gives him the ultimate stage for his talents. So I'll just briefly touch on moves. So he one of the moves I've taken is the bait, which is basically I have a big collection of stuff that people look at and desire. In this case, specifically, what he has is a whole host of artifacts and things from all over the world. Some of which may at one point have been in like the British Museum and other museums around the world, but that's not important. They belong to him now. And I've also taken bargaining ceremony, which is basically I get to enter into a trance with somebody and we can trade for things both physical and metaphysical.
God, I fucking love the worm. Yeah, all right. I think the one question I'll have for each character, because I think there's some stuff I kind of want to flesh out, like, people, whatnot. But we'll get that to the making more NPCs, kind of like the homeroom version of this. We'll get to that. But I do kind of want to know straight up from each person, like, how do you feel about the 2 years thing? In 2 years, you'll be dead.
In what regard?
Each god, like, how do they feel about in 2 years they're gonna be dead?
So, I mean, I think that that Sebastian is not necessarily happy about the situation, especially because I think there's part of him deep down that thinks, he could have made something out of himself without the intervention of a divine being. But also he is the god of the dead, so I guess he figures that actually for him maybe the death isn't something to be feared. He could well be wrong, but that's
he could be wrong. Well, in 2 years people will be dead. But we'll see how people deal with that. I think any more questions I have, will come when we make NPCs. We fill out the NPC list. All right, so we'll skip over Pro for the moment. We'll go to, this is a good jump from Hades to Persephone. Kyle, tell us all about Miranda, or she's known these days Persephone.
All right. So yes, I'm playing Miranda Green, who I guess was awoken as the goddess Persephone, goddess of also death and new life, vegetation, just sort of plant fertility basically. For her fashion, I went with thrift store savior. So like she dresses goth, but she doesn't put that much effort into it. Also oubliette eyes. I guess it runs in the family.
Yeah, what's up with that? No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
And for the incarnation, I picked Terminal Case. I think the Immortal, right? That's the guy who awakens our godhood.
The Ancient One, yeah, who I need to
The
give a
Ancient
name
One.
to at some point.
I think the Ancient One found me and awoken to the godhood. Like at the time, Miranda was like in the hospital, like terminally ill. I think the godhood came just in time to like save her life. So she's relatively fine with the whole you'll be dead in 2 years, because she expected to be dead already, and this is this a relative improvement in her book. But I picked the Ghost Playbook because between the mythological Persephone traveling back and forth between our world and the netherworld underworld, and her being on the edge of death at the time, I think she's kind of like stuck. Like she's not quite all the way in our world and is ghost-like in some ways.
Cool.
Go
ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Do you have any more?
No, you.
I
was just gonna go over the moves.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The moves are unresolved trauma. Whenever someone brings to mind my death, I take a condition, and if someone helps me resolve the condition, we both mark experience.
Actually, I want to hold on to. I want to zero in on that because I want to know exactly, because obviously, technically, you didn't die. You were close to death. What do we mean when someone brings to mind your death? Like when you were just because you were when someone brings to mind that you're close to death or that you're going to die, or because we do need to figure out what the trigger for this move will be.
I was thinking. I mean, I figured Miranda just had like a long hospital stay, so just talking about the time she got real close to death with some.
Okay.
Yeah. If
Okay,
that works.
Cool. Yeah, I think that definitely works. I like the idea of using this ghost playbook as someone who got a reprieve, but for just like 2 years. That's really cool. Do you mind telling us the rest of your moves then?
All right. I got Helpful Spirit. So if I help someone resolve a condition, I gain a string on them. And Creep. When I silently witness someone in one of their most private moments, I gain a string on them. So I'm going to creep around a bit.
Okay. I think I have some questions about like maybe how you know Hades, but we'll leave that to like when we get to like his backstory, that sort of stuff. Let's keep screaming through these characters. I'm very intrigued with this. With Miranda. Okay, cool. Next, Pocket, tell us about your science-y pansexual predator.
Well, my name's Allison Blaze. I mean, it's not my name, but it's the only one that you need. I am. I mean, you can use whatever pronouns you want. I really don't care. I am the incarnation of Lilith, and I am here to fuck up your understanding of sexuality and gender roles and gender in general. And you would not believe the research that I'm going to do, nor would you believe the pop songs I'm going to write while I'm doing it. I mean, it's kind of going to be something like a cross between Lady Gaga and Halsey and The Darkness and probably Kiss and Queen and also Bikini Kill. And maybe some techno in there. Well, EDM now, but whatever. Anyway, my fashion is basically electro glam rock cyborg, and my eyes say my crotch is down here.
Okay. Wow. So much to chew over from that. I don't have more questions.
You can chew on anything you want.
Yeah. What's your skin? What skin are you using?
Oh, Prometheus. I'm bringing you light. I am bringing light to the Dark Age understanding of roles and relationships in general. Quite frankly, every last one of you needs a light bulb over your heads. So I'm gonna make sure to put those light bulbs over your heads, and then I'm gonna turn them on.
Nice.
And that really wasn't much of a double entendre. That was basically just a single entendre.
Yeah, I figured as much. And yet your hot stat is quite low compared to your cold stat.
Well, sometimes you need to shut people down.
Fair. Where was Allison kind of like? Did they have this sort of drive before becoming a god, or did like things crystallize once they got all this sort of power?
It wasn't so much the power as it was the illumination, as it was gaining an understanding beyond the petty day-to-day concerns of having a job and trying to pay rent, and being freed from all of that allowed me to see things with extraordinary clarity and realize in the process that the systems that we live under make whores of us all, regardless of how we choose to express that. So we might as well just be open and honest about it.
That's cool. How do you feel with the 2-year thing?
It's better to burn out than fade away.
That makes sense. All right, that's a good snapshot of Lilith there. How are you doing with your character, Pearl? You're muted.
Coming along quite nicely, actually. Narrowing things down. I don't know how I'd never heard of this Adrestia before. But the idea of her being essentially summed up as she who cannot be escaped seems delightful. Righteous justice and retribution and all those sorts of things. So I gave her some characteristics in the Keeper, and I'm looking at a couple of playbooks. But yeah, I know I need to like shorten the list of purviews. I just needed to. I posted in a couple of things to like narrow it down.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm down for like the first two being like your purviews, and the rest in the quotes are just like, hey, it's flavor. It's nice.
I mean, she who cannot be escaped is the one that is important to me. I'd rather give up the first line than the second. But I know that's not a purview. I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't count it as a purview, but you can leave it there. That's fine.
And I might like swap out just retribution for righteous anger. Like they're tied in together. You know what I mean? They're sort of like it's all under the same umbrella of like, if people do bad, I will smash them if they deserve it enough.
Nice.
And
I'll give you like
but I'll sort it out later. This like specific cutting it down enough that you won't look sad at me when I paste things. And so I think her fashion is probably bondage couture. So it makes sense to me. And she has inferno eyes because behind them blazes the fire of righteous anger against so many that she hasn't been able to get to yet. I had put for the incarnation my truest self unleashed, but I noticed that David had already put it, so I thought maybe I should pick something else. I don't know how much that matters.
Kind of doesn't. It's more flavor. Go on, David.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking there. And then I know everybody like did this before, and I'm talking through it, which is suboptimal, but I am doing my best, I swear. The two skins so far that have jumped out to me as being the ones that make sense are the devil and the siren. Because both of them sort of involve tempting people and then smashing them in one way or another. So I'm thinking siren probably more right? Like calling the sailors to their doom and whatnot.
Yeah.
That seems like someone who cannot be escaped unless you have some wax and some string, apparently. I heard one guy managed to get by. But
Yeah. Let me look at this.
he was an
here.
asshole too. So
Yeah, I think
Siren, we feel good about that.
yeah. Demon training with a voice that can't be ignored, cannot be escaped for sure. I think definitely that fits more into that chic who cannot be escaped sort of idea. Like someone
Yeah.
just enthralling, but like kind of they've got a very enthralling voice and almost like just something that burbles out of them. The devil feels more like you got to work with the whole being enthralling and
Yeah. I
being
was looking at the Fae because of the whole like keeping the balance of good and evil and the justice thing, and like they do that, the
Fae could work as well. But, okay.
I feel like
Sorry.
it's not as specifically good, right?
Yeah, the Fae would they have their own logic. That's kind of how the promises thing sort of works. Like they have a logic, and if people break that logic, they're gonna get mad.
Yeah. Plus, I fell in love with the Fae character in my last Monster Hearts game and haven't gotten over it. So,
That's
if you had been there, if you'd have seen it.
Is there a VOD? Is there a video on demand for that? Let me go see it. I haven't
No, there isn't. Fuck it. Tell him while I'm filling in my siren moves for a second.
Tell him what?
What do you mean tell him what?
She was quoting the Chicago musical.
Well, no, I was telling about Kaja and Lenka.
Oh,
and how he said he would watch the video if there was a video, and I said there isn't one.
It was so good. It all went on in the chat. I mean, it was just like this ongoing role play in the side chat that went on for like probably half an hour, 45 minutes, like just running in tandem. And it's like, it was almost like we were trying to just get through, we could get through in the main role play in the chat and speaking and on camera, just so we could go back to reading the side chat. I mean, there were poems and it was one of those things that I'm glad I was present for, simply because it's not something that can really be recreated. And Slavik turned from a GM who wanted to just make players miserable and suffer to like actually kind of having a soft spot after that. So I don't know if that I mean,
he
David,
used the word smacked.
Yes. You know, David's up there like, oh my God, I can't believe that happening to Slavik. And you're sitting there saying, wait, Slavik has a soft spot as a GM? It happened. It was real. I was there. I saw it occur. And even he was just like, even he was pushing for a kind of a happy ending at the end of it.
Slavik.
Yes.
Slavik of the
not just
he can smash people's planes.
Not just allowing it to happen, but kind of like actively rooting for it to happen. Just once. Yeah, I mean, I played kind of a homicidal, psychopathic ferret who was ready to kill off, an entire family with stakes just to let these two be happy. But instead, we got pulled into the fairy realm where they got to snuggle up and cuddle, and I ran fairy raves and got some really good fairy hallucinogens to introduce fairies to EDM. So, I mean, that worked out okay. It was happy, Got a ferret running a DJ, and we've got the Serpentine, and what was the other playbook?
The Fae.
Yeah, the Fae.
Which is why I was thinking one of the reasons I don't want to be a Fae in this is that I like the Fae for me now is always going to be.
Yeah, I mean, that playbook is kind of off limits for me now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's like, on the one hand, it's sad, but on the other hand, I just don't want to touch it. I mean, poems. I'm not even remotely kidding. What was it? A Shakespearean sonnet that Einar wrote?
Yeah, between sessions 3 and 4, Einar wrote a sonnet to be found in the fairy box that I'd been given. So when I opened it, there was like literally a sonnet waiting about our
yes
love. It was really wonderful. And then I was like, I'm never playing Monster Hearts again because it'll never live up to it. And then like 2 days later, you posted this, and I was like, well, okay.
Well, don't think of this.
Well, okay, pressure. All
Think of this as once again we return.
That's what I had to do.
But it was,
just like, yeah.
Look, I cannot describe it in any way that does what happened justice. It was brilliant and beautiful and organic, and I mean, honestly, there were points when we just stopped talking, kind of read. Like it's just like, hang on, reading side chat. And it's like, all right, okay, I can. What was it? What was the question, Slavik? He's like, I don't remember. I was reading side chat. So it was so good.
Those were the days.
Yeah. And David, remember, you have me, Pearl, and Einar in your Hearts of Wulin session starting next week. So,
oh God, is Einar in that? What am I going to do?
Einar's I don't know.
Oh no, that'll be quite easy. You're not allowed to say anything romantic to each other. It's against the rules.
It's
you bastard! You utter bastard!
What?
Hearts of
What do you mean we can't say anything romantic to each other? How am I supposed to operate?
Oh, the only way you can talk to each other in Hearts of Wulin is obliquely, and in 500 different layers of meaning and motivation, and trying to convey one of those meanings amidst those 500 layers. It's a trip and a half.
Watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
A lot of staring meaningfully at falling blossoms.
So basically, what you're saying is it's going to be emo, but in kimonos.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
All right. So how's the Siren playbook treating you?
It's coming along. I've got 2 out of my 3 moves selected. So the one that I take automatically is Haunting Melody. When I perform for a crowd, roll hot on a 10 up, choose 3. On a 7 9, choose 1. That someone in the crowd gives me a gift. The crowd brings someone I name to me, probably someone who's in for some righteous indignation, if not actual wrath. Someone in the crowd gives me a string, or the crowd goes back to their normal boring lives afterwards. I don't know why I would ever pick that. That seems like the silliest thing to pick. Like, I'm going to roll for everyone to be bored, but presumably there's a reason. And then the other one I've picked so far is Catcher in the Rye. When I successfully tempt a side character, they will think it was their own idea once the current scene ends. But I might change that. The Siren moves, I've never played this playbook before. They're all delightful. So I'm having a bit of trouble deciding. But I might switch that up for Stage Presence, which adds 1 to Hot, which maxes out my 3 at Hot with the stat line I'm planning on taking.
So, quick question: do we take just the 2 do we take the 2 moves from the playbook, or do we take an extra one from Once Again We Return, or
all those moves are open for everyone? The Once Again We Return moves, everyone can do those.
Okay, so we can always work a miracle. We can always drop surprise collaboration. Those are just kind of basic moves that are open to everybody at all times. Okay. So we just take our 2 moves for however many moves were specified in the playbook, and then we get access to all these as well as the updated moves. Okay, got it. Thank you for the clarification.
No worries.
I'm going to swap out Catcher in the Rye for Stage Presence, which will, once I've actually put in the stats, max out my Hot at 3, which is great because the move that I take no matter what rolls with Hot, the Haunting Melody one I was just mentioning. And then I think I will also take Diva Tantrum.
Let me just look at that.
No, help me decide, friends.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky Coast, I'm gonna let you finish, but or Diva Tantrum, or I guess Catcher in the Rye could put it back.
I'd go with them with
so
the finish just because.
I feel like when I shut someone down, I'm going to destroy them most of the time if possible. So it's like them having a -1 on rolls against me. You know? Am I really like a goddess who can't be resisted, who enacts righteous retribution if all I do is like scold people and then their rolls are a little bit reduced?
I'm interested in Diva Tantrum mainly because, there's an incentive to like give in to you for other
Yeah.
characters.
Oh, I like that, actually. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm like tired enough that I could tell something about it appealed to me, but I couldn't figure out what it was. So thank you. All right, so those are going to be my moves: Haunting Melody, Stage Presence, and Diva Tantrum.
Cool.
So yeah, I intend to be irresistible, and for that not to be such great news for a lot of people. My sex move is going to be to declare whether my partner is a groupie or an equal. If they are a groupie, they gain a string on me. If they are an equal, I gain a string on them.
Oh, God.
But I mean, pretty much no one but like the rest of you are my equals. So
all right.
right, we're gods.
That's up
How
to
could
each.
anyone be my equal?
That's up to each character for sure. Like,
No, it's up to me. I declare it.
That's up to you. Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally up to you.
Yeah.
Serious sex. All right. Have you picked like which god or?
So the two goddesses that I mentioned,
Mhm.
depending on source, are sometimes like it's not clear that they're always separate. It depends. That from what I was reading. So by next week we'll have like narrowed it down to whether it is one or the other specifically, but essentially they seem to serve the same purpose, and they have a lot of. It's like the Old Testament, how they're like two different origin stories. Like you just sort of pick one and it'll be all right.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Adrestia because I like her name, but then I will take the character name Nemesis because I think that's hot. And that takes care of that, right?
Yeah. If you want to just give like a rundown, then just like a quick like rundown then of your character for everyone else, so that we can do like backstory and whatnot.
Yep, working on it. Just deleting things. Ta-da. Oh, wait, that's not formatted in a way that's friendly. Okay. So you want me to just introduce her now that I've talked through all that? I feel badly taking up so much time, but I will try not to do so in a week. So I will be playing Nemesis. Her pronouns are Her Majesty. She expects to be addressed that way by pretty much everyone. And she is some sort of amalgamation of a teenager and the goddess Adrestia, who is she who cannot be escaped. Her purviews are going to be just retribution. With righteous anger, I'm going to say falls under the umbrella of just retribution. You would get righteously angry at someone who deserved just retribution, and the sublime balance between good and evil. But she probably focuses a bit more on the evil, what with the whole retribution thing. To that end, she wears a sort of bondage couture style. She has inferno eyes that burn with the fire of centuries worth of rage at people who do injustice. I don't really understand what I'm supposed to say about the incarnation. I picked my truest self unleashed, imagining someone who had been wronged by someone else on a really deep level, and like just called forth that righteous anger and like, oh hello, I'm here. Would you like me to eat anyone for you? Sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to interpret that for sure.
I did not enter my stats. Apparently, I'm going to do that now. But yeah, I've got Haunting Melody, which has to do with when I perform for a crowd. I can do all sorts of delightful things to them, and I'm more likely to be able to do them because I've maxed out my hot stat using the move Stage Presence. Oh, come now. I won't use it on you unless you're very, very bad. But, sorry, one more put in dark. All these negative ones. I feel like I should have positive everything. And then Diva Tantrum. When I shut someone down, I get a new option, which is that the character marks experience if they give me what I want, which means you should all give me what you want. You'll get experience, and it's not like you could escape me anyway.
All right.
According to the lore.
Everyone's been warned. Do many people know who you were before you became, Adrestia?
Who the girls whose body I'm sharing is?
Yeah. Oh, so you're more the god than the girl.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Does Adrestia
okay.
seem like someone who would hang out in the background? I don't
No.
think she does.
No. Fair enough.
But I don't think the person who she has been called forth the truest self unleashed. I don't think she would want Adrestia in the background. She called her forth because she wants that righteous justice, right? So, as someone who wouldn't mind a little bit of Adrestia right now, I can say that if she were to show up, I would just be like, "Take it away." So I'm gonna assume that whoever I've taken over is like that as well. And I was assuming that Nemesis was like a stage name.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. That's really interesting. All right. I'm very much down for that. And so this Adrestia, you get used to that. Do they care about the whole 2-year limit, or are they just like here to
I
like
don't
do
know
it?
that she believes it, to be honest.
Fair
Like,
enough.
I as a person believe it. I don't think Adrestia is concerned with what anyone says about how long she's going to be around.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. All right. So we've got like our Pantheon, and we have another person joining us next week, so that's gonna be fun. But for now, let's do backstory. We'll do that, and then we'll probably take another break because we've been here for another hour, and then we'll do like some NPC stuff, and then we might have time to do like a scene. Ooh, might do that. But let's do backstory first. Let's start with the order of the character keeper. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna follow the character keeper along and go straight to like from Adrestia to Persephone. So we'll start with Persephone. Yeah. So do you want to read out like your backstory stuff that gets you or gives people strings on you?
Sure, yes. So I have 2 backstory questions. Someone knows that you're dead and how you died. They gain 2 strings on you. And you've been inside someone's bedroom while they were sleeping. Take a string on them. I think it makes sense to give the 2 strings, they know how you died, to Hades.
Ooh. Is this like where we kind of flesh out how the two of you kind of know each other?
Sure, yeah. If this works with David, I was thinking maybe the Ancient One like brought him along to when he like brought me to godhood or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I was thinking, I think we might get onto this in a bit when we start doing the NPC stuff. But I imagine Hades was probably one of the earlier gods awakened in this what's it? So that would make sense, I think. Yeah, yeah, cool. I wonder, do you think that our characters knew each other before the whole god thing?
I could go either way. Leaning towards no, I guess.
Yeah, sure thing. No, that's cool. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think that's that works for me. Yeah, I think that maybe I was.
Maybe you asked to like see what it's see from outside looking in. What's it like to
Yeah,
bring over and just like as a dick move, the ancient was like, all right, I'm making someone a god. This one's Persephone. Have fun with that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. No, I like that. That's good.
Cool. And what was your other backstory question, Persephone?
You've been inside someone's bedroom while they were sleeping. I think I'm gonna pick Lil. I'm sorry, I can't speak for some reason. Allison. So I got a string on her. I've been inside your bedroom while you were sleeping. I take a string on you.
Hush. Sorry.
Please. I was just pretending to be asleep because I was hoping you were going to stare. But take the string anyway.
All right.
God. Speaking of Lilith, what about your backstory questions?
I mean, I wouldn't understand why people aren't speaking of me, but whatever. Some people have less taste, I suppose. I've been watching the right people. Take one string on two people or two strings on one person. I think I've been watching Persephone and Adrestia.
Ooh. Why
Sorry,
are they
as
the
it
right
makes
people?
sense to me.
Why am I? What was the question?
So yeah, why those two?
Do you have eyes?
I don't know. I can't actually see my. Well, actually, no, I can. There's a camera right here, so I can see my eyes. Actually, no, I can't. There's computer glare. Do I have eyes? I'm not sure. Sorry, that's not the answer.
Anyone with eyes should be able to understand why I've been watching those two.
Fair enough.
Lovely.
And let's see, what is the other one? I'm super weird. Everyone gains a string on me. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. I am weird.
All right. Yeah. So everyone gets a string on Lilith. That's.
Does that mean I have two? If
No. They have the.
on me, or the other way around.
No. They take the other way around. They take a string on you from the first one.
Yes,
but you
Persephone has
them.
two strings on me because she took a string on me by watching me when I slept. Pervert. You should have gotten into bed. And everybody else gets one.
Okay. I need to put in a thing on the game, bud. Okay.
Cool. I love the worms one. Let's go to Hades. Their backstories are ridiculous.
Yes, mine is cool and yet oddly boring. So the that's not true. The treasure one is the currency one is quite fun. So yes, I divide everyone up into either treasure or currency. Treasure are people that have value to me. Currency are people that have value to others who deal with commerce, I suppose. So obviously Persephone is going to have to be a treasure because I can't escape that whole force of destiny. So Persephone gains a string on me. And so I've just gone to the wrong tab. Just checking. I think and I describe a moment that each caught my eye. So yeah, for Persephone, it will be that moment when I saw the divine energy flow into her, and saw her reborn as a god. That is the enduring memory I have of her. That power and vitality in someone who was lacking it before. So yeah, that's I think the moment that that I saw their true worth. So I think I see Adrestia as currency. Useful, but not special.
I'm so gonna destroy you. I'm really glad you made that obvious right at the beginning. Oh, good. Lots.
And you can tell me something mean that I said to you once.
I mean, you just said I was currency. So there's that. Can't believe how you've changed, Ellie. I mean, are you open about the fact that you're like that? Useful, not like the things that you just said. Do you say those things in character? Because if so, I will destroy you. But also, I can say that that's
probably not quite that overt. But yeah, no, he's definitely not afraid to throw some shade at people.
Oh, Hades, you spend too much time in the dark. Perhaps you're blind to things that you might not be otherwise. So what would you have said to me then? I guess what level of overt about your completely unwarranted condescension are you?
Yeah. You know, it will probably have been something fairly kind of you know, a sort of bitchy comment of some sort. Not like a kind of "you'll never be anything, you're worth nothing, get out of my office" sort of thing, but just you know, something more snide, I think.
Client, you son of a bitch! Like, how do you think all those assholes get down there? Anyway, okay. I will accept your condescension for now until I can destroy you. And I guess the string that comes with it, presumably.
Yes, I take a string on you for that one.
Yeah, I'll take it back, don't worry.
I'm conflicted about Lilith. I could see Lilith going either way.
I do go either way.
Oh, Jesus.
I think it's more interesting if Lilith is someone I treasure. And I think the thing that attracted, or certainly the thing that solidified you in that role for me, was not when you were doing the whole big, you know, vampy thing, but when you were talking about something that you were passionate about. And I think that was the minute that solidified that you were more than just, you know, another run-of-the-mill whatever. So
you're digging your own grave.
So you get a string on me for that.
Interesting. All right, and one last backstory, and then we'll take another break. So Adrestia, it's your backstory, string stuff.
Let's see. I have it called up here. Someone is my diehard fan. I can take 2 strings on them. Well, it's clearly not Hades, who, if he would pull his head out of the underworld for 5 minutes, would maybe realize who around here is worth listening to. Would one of the rest of you like to be my, what was it, diehard fan? Yeah, diehard fan.
I think that Lilith would love your sense of justice and vengeance against guys who acted like shitheads.
Right? I feel like we could make a good team, really. So yeah, I would love to take that on Lilith, which then gives me 3, but I'll probably just spend them to do a really wonderful collaboration in which we then destroy a bunch of people or something. And then the other one is who inspires my performances, and I will give them 2 strings on me, and I'm going to give them back to Lilith because she seems like a badass, or Allison. So, I think the fully out there, like, badassery of Lilith is very inspiring. Not that I don't need inspiration to pursue righteous justice, but if I did, I think Lilith would be the appropriate person. Although, who's joining us next week? Should we be saving some of these for that person?
Yeah, I think when Jim joins us next week.
Jim?
Yeah, it's gonna be Jim.
Jim's joining us.
It's gonna be a different game, isn't
snap.
it? Oh,
it's something. All right.
Wait, are we adding Jim? Are we
adding
him? So it's not like we're losing somebody else.
No, because it's kind of it would have been David, but I don't want him to have just been on for like a mostly character creation sort of thing, because this thing kind of needs a lot of character creation. I didn't want him on just for that for once.
No, David's gonna be great, and I'll find my way around Jim to destroy him eventually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I suggest, like, for the backstory stuff, not giving both to one character to like spread it out. I think what I'll do is, like, if folks want to like redo some stuff for when we see Jim's character next week, for backstory, they can totally do that. If you want to,
I'm very happy to be really tied to Lilith. I think Lilith and Adrestia are a natural pairing. So, I guess it'll depend
on me anyway. So.
It'll depend on who Jim is, I guess. Do we have an idea of who he's playing?
No, he's at Gen Con right now, so he probably doesn't have time to
right.
something.
Yeah. Don't bother Jim at Gen Con. Bad news.
Yeah.
Silly gaming conventions interfering with gaming. I mean, seriously?
Yeah. Some of us are stuck not going to gaming conventions and having to, have fans blowing our hair around. But it's just hot. But it's like really hot here, but it's kind of a handy thing. It's going to be so much harder to smash people with Jim. He's very reserved about the smashing of people in the ways that I like to smash people. I love Jim. Right. Okay. I will.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we're done with backstory. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're done with backstory. So what we're going to do is, again, take another break. This time, Big 10, and then we're going to do more NPC. We'll do NPC stuff, like kind of the equivalent of the homeroom. Basically, here's the thing to think about during this break. I'm going to ask each of you to give me 2 NPCs. One who's another god, and one who's just a normal person connected to your character. Like someone from your pre-god life. It could be anyone, like friend, family, rival.
Just real quick, if so we're generating 1 NPC and 1 god NPC.
Yes.
Okay, so by the time we finish today, we'll have 8 gods, which will allow Jim to fill out 2 more, like with his character and the NPC god that he chooses. And then are you going to be filling the last 2 in yourself?
We'll see how it goes. We might find more gods. Maybe some of the non-god NPCs might become gods. I'm perfectly fine to play to find out. See what happens. But I like having wiggle room anyway, so we'll at least have 10 gods.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool. All right. So 10 minutes. That's good, folks. Have a think about those NPCs, and then I'm gonna put on that video again, unless folks are gonna stay for the full 10-minute duration, because otherwise Jitsi might go. So I'm just a warning. I'll play the video again. I'll see you all in 10 minutes.